Hello, good afternoon. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Vinny Motiwala, along with me, Cheryl D'Souza as well. Cheryl, very good afternoon to you. Market's quite flip-floppy, right, in trade and volatile. Clearly, you can see it's a week ahead of the election results. Plus, let's not forget, this week is the expiry week as well.
Absolutely, and that's why you're seeing the moves in the markets, Vinny. Good afternoon to you. Very muted moves coming in from the markets. If you look at it, we are just in the at the flat line when it comes to the Nifty, the Sensex, as well as the Nifty Bank. But the advanced decline ratio, if you see over the last 2 hours, has actually worsened a tad bit. You have more declines in when you compare them to the gainers. So yes, the advanced decline ratio picture has not improved, even though the markets have actually tried to claw back from the day's lowest point. The broader markets are still seeing heavy cuts, underperforming the benchmark indices in trade today, Vinny. So that's the way how the markets are looking like. Like you said, flip-floppy market coming in, pretty muted, volatile moves.
Yes, pretty muted, volatile moves. But on that note, let's get started with all the stocks that have been buzzing in trade on the back of news flows and on the back of technicals. And on the technicals, we're joined by Osho Krishan. While from the research team, we do have Snehi joining in with us. A very good afternoon to both of you all as well. Let me start then with the first stock that we should talk about, and that is Nalco. Now, they reported their numbers. Overall, the numbers were a good set of numbers. In the morning, we had seen the stock spike up as well, opened in the green. But when you look at it, quite unchanged move right now. Saw a fall coming in with the market and tried to make a recovery. But yes, it's not managing to do quite well. But overall, numbers were good. Strong breathe that came in on the EBITDA front. 43% uptick in EBITDA on a quarter-on-quarter basis. Power cost, which fell by 13% sequentially. And despite alumina sales going up by 3%, we've seen this fall in the power cost. Other than that, aluminum sales volume were in line with what the street was expecting. An exceptional gain of 430 crores towards the additional royalty was paid by the company. Slight bit of a miss on the margins, but other than that, operationally seemed like a good set of numbers.
All right, let's move on then. Let's talk about another earnings candidate, the one that is locked in the upper circle over 5%, and that is Jubilant Industries for you. Good up move coming in the counter on back of his earnings. Like I said, the agri products and the polymer maker actually reported a consolidated net profit jump of approximately 17%. However, the revenue actually fell by approximately 13% or so, but the fact that they posted a profit and a solid jump coming in on a year-on-year basis, the stock has actually snapped a 4-day losing streak in trade today.
Okay, let's move on to the next stock, and actually let's mark the flashes at the bottom of the screens, right? Dream Folks, that's come out. It's 1:30 and it's time all companies start releasing their numbers. So that's when we are seeing Dream Folks release its numbers. We're seeing a fall coming in the stock and a fall in the margins of the company as well. Look at the decline in the margins, just 8.8% versus somewhere around 13-14% last year when you look at it. Similarly, in terms of the revenues of the company, just a growth of around 18%, but in terms of the profits, they are down by 29%, margin seeing a decline. So that is something that is seeing an impact in terms of the operation performance of the company for Dreamfolks. And the outlook also is not seeming well. The street was also not expecting much, and seems like, that pressure clearly seen on Dreamfolks. So yes, that's the stock that we are marking out in terms of the numbers. That's Dreamfolks down after its numbers, a sharper fall that we've seen today.
All right, so that is Dream Folks for you. Sharp decline coming in on back of its numbers, dismal numbers, at least when you talk of the operating front, at least for the company. But Osho, let's talk about AU Small Finance Bank. How is this one looking on the charts to you?
Very good afternoon to both of you. Looking at the technical perspective of AU Bank, then we have seen a very strong resurgence in the last couple of trading sessions. From the zone of nearly 600 to 610, that has been provided as a very strong support for this counter. And currently it is placed just at the breakout of consolidation. So the time if we see a breakthrough or a closer above 640, 642 odd levels, then in the coming session we can see some kind of a strong move in AU Small Finance Bank. On the higher end, I am expecting the target for short-term perspective to be around 670 to 75, which is the 200-day SMA. So now here onwards, the range has shifted higher. 640 to 670, 75 odd levels should be seen as the next trading zone for AU Bank.
All right, so that is AU Small Finance Bank. Snehi, let's talk about LG Equipments and why is this in focus?
On the back of earnings, the stock is in focus and a rather poor set of numbers coming in for Q4 this time around from the company. Street is also, penciling in the bad set of numbers that have come. The stock is down 6%. Revenue has come in at 866 crores, which is up 3.5% on a year-on-year basis. Net profit has come in at 76 crore rupees versus 176 crore rupees, which is down more than 55% on a year-on-year basis. So this is a real pain point for the stock today. EBITDA has come in at 125 crores versus 127 crore, rather flat. EBITDA margin has contracted slightly at 14.5% versus 15.2% on a year-on-year basis. The board has also recommended a final dividend of 2 rupees per share. They've also approved the divestment of the entire stake held by the company's wholly owned subsidiary, LG Compressors USA Inc. in its joint venture, CS Industrial Services LLC USA, to the existing joint venture partners. And they've also gone ahead and approved a project to create necessary infra for expanding manufacturing facilities at the Coimbatore unit. And the phase 1 of this project is expected to be completed by the end of FY 25-26 at an estimated cost of 254 crore rupees. So on the back of all of these news flows, but primarily on the back of a poor set of Q4 earnings, the stock is down 6% as we speak.
Okay, let's move on to the next stock, and that is Coromandel International. Osho, on the charts, what's the word for Coromandel? Where do you see it in terms of the targets that one should keep?
Coromandel has seen a very strong resurgence from the zone of nearly 1040, 1050 in the near period, and from there onwards it has been in the cycle of higher highs, higher lows. But currently it is placed at a very crucial break or breakout zone, approximately near the zone of same 1260 odd levels, because this has been tested in the past in the month of December to January. So this was a very strong resistance. So I'm expecting that the time it breaches the zone of 1260 on a decisive manner, we can see a very strong upsurge in this counter, because on technical front it has formed a very strong rounding pattern on daily chart and even on the weekly chart. So if it sustains around the same levels, then in the coming period we can see 1320 in the short term perspective, followed by 1380 from medium term time frame.
All right, let's move on then and let's talk about the next stock that is in focus right now, and that is Garware Technical Fibers, and that particular counter is in focus on back of its earnings. If you look at the numbers coming in for Garware Technical Fibers, it's seen a good jump. When you talk about the Q4 profit coming in for the counter, it has seen the biggest intraday gain since January 8th. That was at 5%. Now the stock is perched at about 10% gain or so. It reported a 16% jump in its consolidated profit, which stood at around 69.6 crore rupees, while the revenue from operations saw a jump of about 3.2% on a year-on-year basis. The company in the filing also said that their Q4 has shown a profit growth over Q4 Q4 FY24 over Q4 of FY23, driven by strong demand from Norway and Northern European region as well. So on back of good numbers coming in, you have Garware Technical Fiber that is buzzing in trade today.
That's Garware Technical Fiber. Let's move on and talk about the stock that has been buzzing in trade for the last 6 months, 1 year, no matter what you say. That's Exide Industries. And Osho, what a run up the stock has already seen, right? From around 200 levels today at 500. What's the view that one should have for Exide Industries? Should they start booking some profit, or are you still expecting a further run up?
See, overall, there has been a very strong movement in this counter from the zone of 300 towards 450, 470 odd levels. But in the last 3 trading sessions, we have seen a consolidation breakout, because from the month of April towards till now, there has been a strong consolidation around the same zone, 450 to 470. But in the last 2 trading sessions, there has been a strong breakout of the consolidation, and that has been backed by very strong volumes. So with the technical setup, I am expecting that on the higher end, 520 to 528 should be seen as the short-term target for this counter. So one should definitely hold on to this counter for higher gains of nearly more 3 to 4% in the short-term perspective. While looking at the overall trend, I am expecting 480 should be auguring very well for the buyers. So in future, if there will be any kind of dip towards 480, one should definitely try to accumulate it for higher targets of nearly 520 to 528.
Alright, so that is all about Exide Industries. On that note, we slip into a break in this edition of Market Fatafat. More on the other side, don't go anywhere.
Welcome back, and you're watching Market Fatafat on ET Now. Let's keep it going with the stocks that have been buzzing in trade. And the next one we have is NMDC. They reported their numbers. When you look at it in terms of the numbers of the company, quarter-on-quarter basis, a 19% growth in terms of revenues. Margins seeing a bit of a contraction there. 32.9% is the margin versus a 37.5%. So a sharp contraction in terms of the margins of the company. Profits of the company have seen a mild bit of a downtick of 2%. Other than that, what news flow we did have today is that NMDC, the lump iron ore prices they have seen an increase in terms of the prices now. 6,450 rupees per ton is the new price, which is going to be with effect from May 28th. And the fine prices are at around 5,610 per ton. This also is going to be with effect from May 28th. So yes, because of that also we're keeping an eye out on NMDC. Bit of a subduedness is what we're seeing in the trade, down 0.8%.
Alright, let's move on. Then let's talk about Godrej Consumer Products and how is the charts looking for this one. Osho, do you see a breakout underway?
See, definitely in FMCG counter, FMCG has started gaining a strong traction in the recent period, and Godrej CP has always been an outperformer from this space. So I'm expecting that the traction should be there in this counter. It is on the verge of giving a breakout from the previous closer. Around the zone of 1340 was the previous swing closing. So the time if we witness a very strong traction in the coming period, so from here onwards one can expect a very strong movement in this counter for approximately 4 to 5%. So the immediate target comes around 1390 to 1400 odd levels. From short-term perspective, overall trend is very positive. It is taking support from the 21-day exponential moving average. So one should definitely try to gauge the momentum in this counter for short-term period for targets of nearly 1400.
Alright, let's move on and let's talk about Volatile renewables, and that particular counter is in focus in today's trading session. It's actually seen a downtick of approximately 4% or so. Also has logged its biggest loss in nearly since actually January this year. What they're saying is that the company has actually reported a consolidated loss of about 53.3 crore rupees in Q4 as compared to a profit of approximately 14.3 crore rupees that they had posted a year ago. The company's bottom line was hurt by about 15% rise in the total expenses and 8.4% fall in the revenue from operations during the quarter. So yes, a poor set of numbers coming in for Volatile Renewables, and the stock is actually on the verge of actually logging in the worst monthly fall since the month of February as well, because this month so far also the stock has seen a sharp downtick.
Okay, let's move on and talk about HCL Tech. Osho, when you look at it also in terms of the move, for HCL Tech, we're seeing that since March, again, seems like a bit of a correction has come in for HCL Tech. Is it the right time to enter this one, and what is the target that you're keeping in the short to medium term?
See, overall, as you have mentioned, the counter was into a very strong corrective phase from the zone of 1650 odd levels towards 1350 odd levels. But in the past 4 trading weeks, we are witnessing a very strong consolidation in this counter. So that can be assumed to have a very strong base setup for this counter. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, the counter seems poised to have a very strong up move. For short-term perspective, the first target or the first resilience that it has is near about 1410, 1415 odd levels, which is the bearish gap. But the time we surpass the time it fills the bearish gap around 1415, 20 odd levels, then from there onwards we can see a very drastic up move in this counter. So for here, from this, current levels, the short-term investors should definitely try to gauge momentum and accumulate this counter for a very strong return.
Alright, let's move on then. Snehi, let's talk about Nazara Tech, and why is this one in focus today?
Well, Cheryl, this stock is in focus on the back of 2 reasons. First up, you have block deals coming up. So, Plutus Wealth Management LLP has bought 48.84 lakh shares at 620.5 rupees per share. On the flip side, you have Mitar Infotech LLP that has sold 48.84 lakh shares at 620.5 rupees per share. So, that's the block deal snapshot, one of the reasons why the stock is buzzing. And well, you also have brokerage notes coming in for Nazara Tech this morning. Jefferies on Nazara Tech, they've maintained a hold rating, but have cut the target price to 650 rupees from 810. That's quite a cut coming in, but the stock is reacting contrary to what the note is saying as of now. Weak revenue growth is what they have seen. They believe that margins are better, but early learning, they're saying that weakness is persisting at the Kidopia and in the Kidopia segment as well. And for esports, they're saying that they're seeing some continued momentum in Sportskeeda. So that's the note coming in from Jeffries on Nazara Tech. Moving on, we also have a CLSA note on Nazara Tech as well. They've maintained a sell rating, also gone ahead and slashed the target price now to 525 rupees from 570 earlier. They believe that quarter 4 was below estimate, forecast has been cut, promoters' ownership is down to below 10%, and subscribers loss in Kidopia, ad tech revenue has fallen. So these are the factors that they're not liking, and slowdown in esports and Nodwin revenue decline is also something they're not liking for Nazara. But contrary to both of these negative notes, the stock is holding up pretty well, up 5% as we speak.
Okay, that is Nazara Tech. Let's move on to the next stock that we're talking about on the technicals, and that is Pidilite. Osho, Pidilite, what is the expectation that one should have in terms of a target, right? 19% return in 6 months, but could we expect a better up move going forward?
See, overall, this counter is also placed at a very strong breakout zone. Approximately the 3050 is the zone where it is facing some kind of resilience for the past 2 times. So I'm expecting with the recent development, because in the past 2 weeks the stock has consolidated near the zone of 3000, and today we have witnessed a strong traction in this counter, and it has surged above the consolidation zone. So again, 3050 remains the resilience for the timing, but the time it breaches the zone on a closing manner, then from there onwards we can see a very strong up move in this counter for approximately 60 to 80 odd points for short-term perspective. So 3120, 3140 should be the immediate target that one can expect in Pidilite for short-term perspective.
All right, so that is all about Pidilite. We have Ankita also now joining on the show, and Ankita, LIC, this one in focus on back of earnings, and also we had an interaction with the management.
Well, yes, Cheryl, absolutely. LIC is in focus on the back of its earnings, and if you look at the earnings, we did see a jump of 4.5% in the profit on a year-on-year basis at 13,782 crore rupees versus 13,191 crore rupees, a year ago. The net premium income also saw a jump of 15.5% on a year-on-year basis, and if you look at the persistency ratio, the 13-month persistency ratio came in at 71% as opposed to 70% on a year-on-year basis, and on 61-month basis it was up 54.4% versus 55.9% on a year-on-year basis. Now they have also recommended a dividend of 6 rupees per share. And JP Morgan also came out with a note on LIC, and they're maintaining an overweight with a target price of 1,340 rupees. They feel the quarter 4 good set of numbers with earnings and NBV beat. They welcome company's strategy to prioritize growth over profitability, and the market seems to take market share gains as a key catalyst for this stock. And the stock looks inexpensive, and there seems to be further room for strong business growth coming in for LIC. But as of now, we are seeing a decline of 0.8% coming in LIC. In fact, in the morning, we did see a bit of a profit booking. The stock was down more than 3% in the morning straight today.
Right, let's hear out actually what the management of LIC actually told my colleague Ajay when he interacted with him on earnings.
60 basis points growth over last year. Last year it was 16.2 in VNB margin. This time it is 16.8%. So from now onwards there will be definitely growth. Our expectation will be at least 2 to 3% more in margin. That is our target for the current year. Market should trust us, and further growth will be there. At least I expect a 10% further growth in IEV in the current year. Focus will be on both areas, profitability as well as top line.
Okay.
Both we have to focus, because the last 2-3 years post listing we focused on profitable growth.
Yes.
So there has been directional change in our approach to marketing, like launching new non-par products, increasing share of non-par, increasing share of non-par in AP, margin, all those things. But we lost some 2-3% in market share top line. So this year focus will be
to regain that market share?
regain the market share without compromise on
profits.
profitable growth, because we have to create value for all our stakeholders.
Okay, that was all about LIC, but let's move on and shift focus to HDFC Life Insurance. Osho, this one has not done anything in the last 1 year. Instead, last 6 months it's been a negative return. Last 1 year, also almost flattish and almost a negative return over there. What is the view for HDFC Life? Is it time to buy this now, or maybe still hold on and you are expecting some bit of a correction?
See, overall, the counter is into a corrective phase, but looking at the traction that it has been seen in the last 2 trading weeks, I am expecting that for short-term perspective, there can be some kind of relief rally that can be seen in this counter. Because in the last 1 week, there has been a consolidation, and today we are witnessing a consolidation breakout in HDFC Life. So I'm expecting that from here onwards, it is an early sign of reversal, but from here onwards, I am expecting at least 600, 610 to be tested for HDFC Life for short-term perspective. So only the short-term traders should try to gauge this momentum for short-term perspective, because on the higher end, the strong resilience still persists near the zone of 620, which is the 200-day SMA. So until it stays below 200-day SMA, the outlook for this counter stays negative. But for short-term, we can witness some kind of a recovery or a relief rally that can be seen in this counter.
All right, so that is all about HDFC Life, but let's not forget and let's not lose sight of the big event that is just ahead of us. Come next week, I think about the similar time that we will have a new government also. We will get the verdict and we will know about what's exactly going to happen when you talk about the government formation. But here, Soumit, to tell us what brokerages are already penciling in with regards to that. Soumit, over to you.
Well, if you see, all the 4 brokerages that have so far come out with their expectations are expecting BJP-led NDA to retain power in 2024 elections as well. Now, for JM Financial, if you see, the base case is that BJP will win around 299 seats. The bear case is around 290 seats, and for bull case, they're expecting around 310 seats win by BJP. For Phillip Capital, it's around 290 to 300 for BJP and 330 to 340 for NDA. And in the bear case, they're not expecting expecting a majority to come in from BJP, but they're expecting a majority to come in for the NDA, that is the coalition. For bull case, they're expecting 325 plus for BJP and 360 plus for the NDA government. Now, IFL does not have a bear and a bull case, but their base case is expecting BJP to have around 320 seats, and Bernstein is expecting BJP to win around 330 to 350 seats in the ongoing election. Now, apart from that, voter turnout was one of the concerns for a lot of analysts on the street, but what Phillip Capital is saying is that voter turnout won't really be a concern, given the fact that 2024 numbers are a bit lower compared to 2019, but 2019 saw the highest ever participation due to nationalist wave after the Pulwama attack. Now, also IFL is saying that there has been no 3 consecutive years where India has seen a rise in their voter turnout, and voter turnout decline itself will not change the outcome of this election. And they're also saying that the rise of women voters, in fact, is benefiting BJP government currently. Apart from that, if you see, IFL is expecting Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Bengal, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh some modest gains to come in for BJP, and JM Financial is expecting Maharashtra, West Bengal and Tamil Nadu to be the swing states in this current election. When it comes to market perspective, Bernstein is saying that post the elections, the key things to focus would be the 100-day agenda coming in from the BJP government and the budget expectations. Apart from that, they're also expecting a short-term breach of the 23,000 level that we had seen recently. Apart from that, they're also saying that the focus post-election would shift to macro, earnings and valuation. When it comes to JM Financial, they're seeing opportunities in the defense and the capital goods space. They're also saying that the valuation comfort is there when it comes to banking and consumer space, but this time they're expecting the rally in markets to be led by large caps and not small and mid cap. And lastly, when it comes to Phillip Capital, they're saying that even if there's a bear case scenario, one should buy into equities when there's a steep correction, because given the fact that the leadership will continue to remain, because they're expecting the majority seats to come in for NDA, they're expecting a buy and dip as a strategy going forward, and they're expecting markets to recover over the longer period of time.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.